Well, here we are. We welcome Dr. Sergio Lan, and it's an honor, Sergio, to be able to chat with you for these few minutes in this Sergio Lan 360 space with the content and all the experience that you have. Thank you for these few minutes. And why don't we start, Sergio, by talking a little bit to the people, to the public, to those who are watching us via technology. Who is Sergio Lan? Could you tell us a little bit about yourself, whether in your professional life, your personal life, what do you like? Tell us about yourself, Sergio.
Well, quite honestly, what can I really say? All my life, I've liked the educational field ever since I was very young, although I didn't realize it at the time. As a child, it took me a long time to notice. When I finished my master's degree in engineering, I studied in the United States. I came back to Mexico, and when I returned, I was looking for a job. My brother worked at a school and wanted to give up his classes because he was getting married. So he convinced me to take them over. Honestly, I didn't want to, because I thought no one would understand anything I said and that I would get upset the first time someone didn't understand me. But anyway, he used the old trick now, do it for your brother. And so when he said that, I couldn't say no, right? I told him, all right, I guess. I began teaching classes, and I loved it. So as far as I remember, that was the day it all started, right? My calling for education. But then I realized that even as a child, my friends would come to me with questions, and I had several friends who wanted to invite me to their house to study for exams and things like that. And I liked it. I mean, it didn't bother me. I really enjoyed it. So I can tell you that I've dedicated my life to this because I enjoy it and because I believe the future lies in education. Given the current situation with insecurity and so many other issues, I think education is the way forward. It's not us who are going to change the world. It's our children and our grandchildren. And it's up to us. If they receive a good education, they'll be able to do it. So that's how it is, generally speaking, right?
Sergio, thinking about this point you're making about education, with all the experience you have, if you could point out any differences between what you see in education in the past and education today, what would they be? How do you see the issue of education that you're talking about in the past and in the present? What would you improve? What has gotten worse? What has improved? I don't know. From your perspective, how do you see this part of the world? What has happened?
Well, look, I think that nowadays, as with everything, there is a kind of polarization. So we tend to think about education in the past and compare it to the present, to the circumstances of today. And we can't do that. So, for example, I was educated, I had a traditional education 100%, but it was a good education. It was an education that at that time was what was needed. I had to memorize a lot of things, but I really don't want to reveal my actual age. But back when I was quite young, there were absolutely no personal computers. There was no high-speed internet, and absolutely none of that modern technology even existed yet. So if I wanted to know the capital of France and I didn't know it, I had to go to a store to buy some monograph about France or go to the library. So knowing things was important, knowing facts, it was very, very important. Why? Because you didn't have them at hand. And that's what we learned. Nowadays, if you want to study in that way, using that format, well, you're going to waste your time because now you just take out your phone. You use, well, all the modern stuff, artificial intelligence. And if you want to know the capital of France, well, you'll get everything from when France was founded up to today. Whatever you want to know. So facts are no longer what you need to learn. Not that you shouldn't learn them at all, but that's not where the emphasis should be. Nowadays, for example, from my point of view, because of social media and all that, thank you. The information pollution we have, among all the truths they send us, they also send us a huge amount of lies or half-truths. And the percentage keeps getting higher. So one thing we need to learn and teach is how to distinguish what is true from what is false. how not to let yourself be swayed just because someone says something or because they're supposed to be an authority when they're not. Do you know what I mean? Those are the kinds of things we should be teaching, and they're not being taught. On the other hand, the students, well, back in my day in third grade, I had a teacher who had the wand of justice. And if you talked even a little, she would make you stand in front of everyone, put your hands out, and hit you with the wand. And nobody said anything, right? Neither we said anything, nor the principal, nor the parents. It was just what was done. So yes, you studied with a certain amount of suffering, a lot actually. Nowadays, in more modern schools, that suffering has disappeared. But many things are still the same as before. There are many schools that call themselves modern, where they still memorize things without understanding them. My point of view in the modern era, let's say, is that the foundation of education is understanding, not time. Education at the national level, and not just in Mexico, but everywhere, is based on time. That is, the month ends and you have the exam. So by that day, you have to know everything you're supposed to know, everything they told you have to know. The exam lasts an hour and you have to put everything down in that hour. Reading is measured by how many words you read per minute. Everything is about hurry, about speed. And the truth is that real education is about understanding, and it should take as long as it takes you. There are children who learn faster, there are young people who learn faster, and there are others who learn more slowly. That's not what's important. People think that the great discoveries of the world were made overnight, that some genius woke up in the morning and said, "What a great idea, I just thought of it, I'm going to invent the steam engine." And the next day, the steam engine already exists, and they don't tell us the whole story, that it took entire lives, whole lifetimes. So time shouldn't be what's important, but nevertheless, it is. And the other thing I think should change regardless of the subjects being taught and all of that is that knowledge is something personal. No one is born knowing. We all learn in different ways. I don't know how, but by the age of 3, children already speak a language. And if I wanted to learn a new language right now, in 3 years, I still wouldn't be able to speak it. It would take much longer, even if someone teaches me, while no one even teaches the child. People just talk and they learn. So everyone learns in different ways at different times in their life. And that's something very personal. So what you should never do is make someone feel bad because they don't know something. And unfortunately, that's what we do to children in schools. Look, kid, you got a 7. That's bad. You didn't know it. I'm going to tell your dad. And then your dad comes and says, no, you got a 6. That's really bad. You're grounded. And they start punishing you for not knowing instead of figuring out what you didn't understand and helping you actually learn it. You pass with a 6. So just imagine a first grader passes math, arithmetic with a 6. That is addition. Let's say in first grade they teach addition and the kid gets a 6 in it, which means he barely knows it. The next year, you start with subtraction and expect the child to understand and know how to subtract when he doesn't even know how to add. When multiplication comes along, which involves addition, he won't be able to do it. And when division comes, which involves subtraction, even less so. And so you end up with a child in 6th grade saying, I'm just not cut out for math. I'm not good at it. I don't want anything to do with it. And the father scolds him for not studying, for being lazy, when in reality it's the system itself that's causing this. A child shouldn't pass with a 6. They should pass with a 10. If they get a 6, you need to review what they did not understand until they fully get it. And that takes time. But no, it has to be 1 month for the test, 1 year to finish first grade. Do you see what I mean? Time is what dictates education, and it shouldn't be that way. That's my opinion, my personal opinion. What should guide education is understanding, truly grasping what you're studying, enjoying it, and being able to use it, that it has some usefulness for you in your personal life, in your work life, or however it may be, but that you feel it serves a purpose for you. And that's how we should design our programs and our educational systems, and not focus on repetition or on punishing for not knowing. The grade should always be a 10. If a student doesn't have it, keep going. Keep explaining the part they didn't get until they reach a 10. they should finish addition feeling 100% confident. And then, of course, they'll want to learn subtraction and they'll learn it more easily.